All right, time for the super fun part, which is the portfolio listing page. First of all, let's go ahead and add a new page here called Portfolio. And what we'll want to do is to create a custom page template for it. The reason is because we're not going to be posting content like this. We're not going to type in each new portfolio item. Obviously, we want it to have it that each time someone adds a new portfolio item over here, it automatically just adds on to the bottom of that list of portfolios. So we need to have a custom loop that's pulling all of that portfolio information to do that, which I'm going to show you now. So we'd actually want to set this to portfolio page template. That's already created, and that's kind of a mistake. If we go back and look at our single portfolio page, we gave this the name of portfolio page template initially when we created it. But as we learned when we looked at the template hierarchy, just by calling it single dash portfolio, WordPress is going to look for that when we have a single portfolio listing. So that's automatically going to be used either way for our single portfolio pages, and we don't need this extra information about a page template. We do, however, need it on our portfolio template page. So let's go in here in the back end and create a new page called portfolio.php, and that's what we're going to give the page template name of portfolio page template. And we'll get the header. Oh, maybe I should do that in the right order. I just can't type with people looking at me. It's very, very difficult.
No one's looking at you, actually.
Everybody's looking at me. Okay. And what we'll also do is go ahead and put in the top element here, which we've had to put in on every page template so far. So let's look at our WordPress portfolio, or our HTML portfolio theme, and grab this top element. The formatting should already be correct based on the CSS we have, so let's put that right in there. Let's save that, and I'm going to refresh this page really quick and just leave this. Wait, did I add the page? Yeah. We need to publish this, and now we'll select portfolio page template and publish. Once you do that, go ahead and view the page, and we should have a header, the top area that says portfolio, and the footer. So we're pulling the right page template. So now we need to get started with our loop in here, and I want to show you first of all the wrong way to do the loop, and then we'll get into the right way to do the loop. If we just create a regular loop like we have in our index.php for our blog listing page, if we just take this loop right here and paste it in here, I want to show you what happens. You know what will happen, right, John?
I do.
Okay, tell me what will happen.
This is going to try and pull any content that's listed on the page or in the WYSIWYG.
Yeah, I'm going to delete this. I'm not going to follow really good semantic code right here, but if I just pull the title and output that with the regular loop here, it outputs portfolio. Well, that's the page title of this current page. We want it to loop through each portfolio item and then output all of those titles. So what we need to do is to tell the WordPress loop that, hey, I'm looking for something a little more specific.
Yeah, so in this case, we're going to have to, when you want something more specific and levels of specificity, you have to start to customize your loop to tell it to do what you want it to do. And that's when we get into the WP query.
Right. So the function that you'll use for any custom loops is WP query. I'm going to save this out with a little bit better structure there. And then if you look up custom WordPress loop, it's going to take you to these two pages, WP query, because that's what you're going to use, and then the loop in a more generic sense. But the loop has some great examples. So if we go down here using the loop, here of course is our regular loop. And just to explain the basic structure of how this will work, right now with the regular loop we're saying if have post, while have post, get the post content. But what we want to do is say if you have portfolio posts, while you have portfolio posts, get portfolio posts. So what we can actually do is just add some additional information to this have post statement and to this while have post and the post, and it'll allow us to do that. So we're going to look at some examples of how we do that. Here's one good example: exclude posts from some category. this example demonstrates how to hide a specific category or categories from being displayed. What we're doing here is starting out with a new variable, and that's just a placeholder to store information so we don't have to repeat it a bunch of times. We're going to be using this item, query, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So instead of typing this whole thing out 3 times, we sort in a littler chunk of code.
Right.
And then why don't you explain what this new query is doing?
It's creating a new query, and it is saying that anytime a category is not category 3 and is not category 8, I want you to pull it. So it's going to pull every category aside from category 3 and category 8, and it's going to scroll through those posts.
Right. So there's a couple things here. WP query is the function we're going to use, and when we try to specify, hey, we want to do something specific with this to the WordPress loop, we'll create a new WP query. And you can just copy the code for this until you get the hang of it a little bit. Then we pass through parameters, and these parameters can be anything from sort by, ascending or descending. We can choose a category, and the negative here means not in this category. If it were just 3, 8, it would be only post those which are in categories 3 or 8.
Right.
And so forth. A full listing of these, the abilities, we're going to get into in just a second.
Yeah, and that second page we were looking at, the WP query page, when we typed in the search, that has the full listing of all the parameters you can run through the WP query.
Exactly. So then the next section of this code is saying if, and this, if you look and just ignore the query, you see if have post wall have post the post. That's our basic loop exactly. And then we're adding this little chunk of code which contains all of this information, and we're appending it on or prepending it on to the beginning of each of these have post and the post statements. So now we're saying if we have posts that are not in category 3 or 8, while we have posts that are not in category 3 or 8, get the information from those posts. And then again, we give it specific instructions about how we want to display that information.
Right.
Let's copy this code. And actually, let's just copy the top line here, and we'll add it on above our regular WordPress loop. That way we can go in and edit this and kind of get the feel for how we would add this, okay? So the query we've set up here is not in category 3 or 8. Well, we don't even know what those categories are for our sakes. We want to do something that says if it's the post type of portfolio. So let's go and look. Again, if we look up custom WordPress loop, it's going to bring us to WP query. And this is where you're going to find a listing of all of the different parameters, which are those values we can pass in. And you can just, this is the kind of quick link. This page is obviously huge, so I use this quick link pretty often. And in the post and page, or is it type? Let's look. Post and page. Type parameters, here it is. So this gives you an option to say post type, and a post is a post type, a page is a post type, a attachment or media is a post type, and so is the custom post type that we created, which is called portfolio. So the way you'll do that is by entering post type and then give it some value, just following the same format as this is right here. So let's call this post type. And ours is called portfolio. So now what we've said is we've got a new WP query which find all the post type of portfolio. We also need to prepend this to the beginning of our loop now. So let's copy this and paste it in here, and then we're going to create a little forward arrow there like that. Same thing on this wall have post, little forward arrow, and then here as well. So now we should be getting the information. We should be storing that information, and then we want to display something. So let's just put, again, the title, because each one of these has its own title. So let's put the title, and let's put that in H2 tags so that they'll be on their own separate line and we can see them clearly. All this makes sense so far?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Money.
Okay. So we have the classy building project, the beach sky project, laptop on table project. That's all of our. So we know that we're looping through those individual portfolio items now. The real key is going to be getting to arrange them all properly and make them look right. Let's go ahead and do it in a separate section. Talk to you guys around the corner.